In 1965, there was a country so small most people couldn't even find it on a world map even after zooming in. Just 719 square kilometers, with over 7,000 people per square kilometer. That's 16 times more crowded than India. It had no oil, no fresh water, and less than 1% of its land could grow food. Poverty was so severe that people were dying from hunger. It had no resources, no support, and no future. That country was Singapore. And yet, it didn't just survive, it became one of the richest nations in the world. In 1965, when Singapore became independent, its economy was one of the weakest on the planet. GDP per person was only $516. The island lay at a crossroads of sea lanes, the narrow Strait of Malacca and Sunda to the west and east, which had connected east and west trade routes for over 1,000 years. Even in ancient times, ships carrying spices, silk, and other goods passed by this little island. But without significant wealth of its own, Singapore's only real asset was its location on that global trade route. The British soon recognized Singapore's strategic value. In 1819, Sir Stamford Raffles established it as a free port under the British East India Company. The rule was simple. Ships could dock and trade without paying any port taxes or tariffs. Word spread quickly, and Singapore's harbor filled with vessels from China, India, and the Malay archipelago within just a few years. Rubber and tin from nearby Malaya and the Indonesian archipelago passed through Singapore to global markets. By 1867, it became an official British Crown colony, and when the Suez Canal opened in 1869, it supercharged Singapore's growth. The new shortcut to Asia sent tens of thousands more ships through the Malacca Strait, and Singapore's port boomed. Workers streamed in from China, India, and elsewhere. World events soon tested the city. During World War I, global trade slumped, causing layoffs and shortages in Singapore. A Spanish flu epidemic in 1918 killed thousands of residents. The Great Depression of 1929 and then World War II dealt even harder blows. In December 1941, the Japanese invaded Malaya and took Singapore by February 1942. British forces surrendered after a mere week. The Japanese occupation was brutal. Mass killings and torture swept the island, destroying infrastructure and leaving many starving. When Japan surrendered in 1945, Allied bombing and street battles had leveled much of the city. What was once a thriving port was nearly in ruins. After the war, the British realized that rebuilding Singapore meant giving locals more say. They began allowing limited self-government. By 1959, Singapore held general elections. In a landslide, Lee Kuan Yew and his People's Action Party won 43 of 51 seats and Lee became prime minister. But the challenges he faced were enormous. Singapore had virtually no resources, and its neighbors were about to cut ties. Malaysia, a newly independent country, was hostile to Singapore's Chinese majority leaders. When Britain announced in 1967 that it would withdraw all its forces from the region by 1970, Singapore lost its last source of defense and many jobs. In 1965, Malaysia even expelled Singapore, the only time one nation has forced a region to become independent, tearing apart the short-lived merger that had joined them. Lee Kuan Yew, who had once hoped Malaysia would adopt Singapore as a state, suddenly found his island alone and vulnerable. Within days of independence, Lee gave a press conference and announced the Republic of Singapore. He later admitted he wept at that moment. Singapore now had to fend entirely for itself. From the very start, Lee's message was that no one will save us, so we must save ourselves. His first priority was to unite the population of this multiracial city. In the 1950s and 60s, Singapore's Chinese, Malay, and Indian communities mostly lived in separate enclaves and spoke different languages. In 1960, he established the Housing and Development Board to replace shantytowns with modern apartments. The government bought land and built large, inexpensive public housing projects. For those who couldn't afford a home outright, the plan allowed them to lease flats with long-term payment plans. By the late 1960s, Singapore's transformation was already underway. The Itty Jurong Town Corporation, set up in 1968, and a series of government industrial estates turned Singapore's swampy west coast into a sprawling manufacturing hub. By the 1980s, Singapore was overwhelmingly different from the poor place it had been in 1965. Nearly all citizens lived in public housing they owned, some 80% of families, avoiding the slum problems of other cities. Healthcare and education were world-class, helping the population stay healthy and skilled. Literacy and education levels soared. Around 97% of Singaporeans today are literate. Today, Singapore routinely ranks at the top of Asian and global league tables. It has the world's fourth highest GDP per person, around $94,000 in 2025, and the highest in Asia. Singapore's port is the world's second busiest, and its airport, Changi, is routinely ranked the best globally. The country hosts thousands of multinational corporations, and its huge sovereign wealth funds have trillions invested worldwide. Crime and corruption are extremely low, and government efficiency is high. If you found Singapore's story as surprising and inspiring as we did, make sure to hit that like button. And if you enjoy deep dives into stories that shape our world, don't forget to subscribe. Got thoughts or questions? Drop them in the comments. We read them all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.